Hello all you wonderful people, my name is Will and this is An Ecologist Plays. Now, as you may notice, on the screen here, we don't have Subnautica at the moment. I'm currently sorting out a few things with my computer, and we're taking a quick break from Subnautica to bring you this game, a gem from, well, the 1990s. This is Sim Safari, and it is one of my childhood favorite games, and it is set in Africa, which is obviously amazing. Now, I've started a new game in terms of the basic map. I've got a bit of water in this area. The objective is to take our rest camp over here, which has, well, basically nothing in it. And we've got a village, which is situated next to the camp. Also, generally not much in it. And our park, which at the moment only has water. And that is it. And our objective here is to make a fully functional 5-star park. So we've got to set up the rest camp. We've got to build a park that is functioning, and obviously in the process we hire staff from the local village, and then we obviously help them as well to set up granaries and medical centers and those types of things. Now remember, this is a very basic game, and as a result, it's, you know, in the 1990s, graphically speaking, not the most amazing, but it has got a few interesting animals in here and things that we can talk about as we go along. So without any further ado, let's jump into Sim Safari. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to get the primary producers sorted, so the main plants. And for this park today, I'm going to go for more of a grassland environment. Rather than a true mixed savanna, we're going mostly with a grassland environment. So let's start out at the base here. We've got an ecologist hut. And let's build just a little road so people can come past in this general environment, drive through, and you'll see a little bit about that a little bit later. So we now have a very basic route here, a little road people can travel, and when they get to the ecologist hut, they can turn around and go back from where they came. Now we have to sort out the plants that we've got. Now we've got aloes and fever berries and sedges and sour plums and star lilies as well, but the ones we are most interested in are the last three, which are the grasses. So let's start with Bermuda grass over here. That's what they call it. This is Cynodon dactylon. We also then have love grass over here. This is some kind of Eragrostis species, so we're just going to put a whole bunch of that in as well. And then our last one we've got here is called red oat grass. In South Africa, we just call it red grass. This is Themida trihandra, and it is one of the most palatable species of grass you can have on a reserve. So we're going to put a whole lot of it. Now, I have currently paused the animation, or paused the simulation, so we don't have all kinds of other animals popping in while we are just busy putting in some of the main primary producers. Of course, we are going to need some trees, and I think the main one we are going to put in right over here is, I want a big old baobab growing right over here. Now, it's not going to generally grow well when you've got a whole bunch of water, and there I've just bulldozed the entire baobab tree that was probably growing there for like 150 years. But there we go. Baobabs generally don't do well in very wet environments, so I'm just, you know, classically making it a little bit drier by removing the main water source right over there. So let's re-put in our baobab and let's give him some friends. Bob Ross would agree, because every tree needs a friend. Okay. Now I'm going to unpause the simulation here, and we're going to have animals systematically coming into the system. Now the whole idea of this is that you would have this park not fenced off, and that allows animals to move in from one area to the park that we've got. So from outside the park, they can then come in. Now that is generally how conservation should work. However, we have a very westernized idea of conservation overall, which basically just means that we fence off everything, and then the animals just kind of have to live with that. Of course, we have to make a camp that actually is financially viable, so I'm just laying the basic grid work here Let's start out with a few tents, and we'll put that over here. Make it a nice, pretty park. We've got 2 tents there, then we have 2 more tents over there, and connect it. And because we all like a few trees here and there, we're going to put in some marula trees to basically name this the Marula Avenue. Marula trees are amazing. You can make a very nice liqueur from it as well, which technically at the moment, as I'm recording this, you're not allowed to drink alcohol in South Africa. So yeah, let's just say we're not using the Marula over here to make a liqueur. We are, however, also going to have to put in a dining area so that these people that come to live here have a nice little place to actually go and eat. Because apparently they can't, they don't have self-catering units in their little tents there. And of course, we just need the basic showers. When I say basic, don't expect very, very fancy outhouses here. And we'll just connect all of that so that people, when they come to our little camp here to come and look at our beautiful animals, they can actually have a relatively decent place to stay. Now, of course, they also need to be able to go to the park. So we are going to set up a little bit of a road system here. And as long as the road connects with the edge of the map here, they can automatically go to the park. Now, the trees, or the cars in this game have got a bit of a problem in that they very often drive off the road. And to stop that from happening, I'm just lining it with trees, which will prevent them from actually going and driving off into our rest camp, because you don't want them theoretically driving over our visitors. Let's make it, and it's going to look quite pretty as well. So the game does go through seasons here and there. Not very pronounced, but you will see we go from a drier, currently it's winter, the trees have shed, most of the trees have shed their leaves. Others, like the sausage tree, currently have got their fruits, but things like the bush willow have shed their leaves, the umbrella thorns have also shed their leaves, and your winter thorns also. Now we're back in the rainfall season, or rainy season, which means that now the trees have got the leaves. And we'll talk about seasons as we go along here as well. I just also want to put in a few smaller shrubs here to prevent the cars from driving into our little area over here. Let's put in some aloes as well, a whole bunch of aloes. Okay, now that we've got that, we can have our first cars, and of course there's nobody there to drive them, which means we need to go to the village. Here you can see, the animations of the 1990s, pure amazing. Now currently we already have a 1-star park, even though we haven't really done anything. So this little village here, they've got a few houses at the moment. They don't even have a central market, nothing like that. But we are going to help them by hiring the locals here. Now, of course, we've got a dining area, so we need at least 1 cook there as well. We've got 2 vehicles. We're going to hire 2 drivers. We're going to hire 2 attendants to make sure that the camp is clean. We're going to hire 1 naturalist. And we are going to hire 2 scouts to go with the 2 drivers. So let's do that. And apparently UC there is a very good scout and he's one of the leaders of the village. Now, we have got a few staff and they're going to basically make sure the camp runs well. And there we've got our first little truck driving around. The other one will be in our park. There they are, having a look at the grasslands. Currently nothing really to look at. If we look on our map though, we also have a few things that have popped up. There we have an oxpecker. And we've got these small little animations that play as well. Currently we have 1 of those and they give a bit of the basic information about the oxpeckers. Now, oxpeckers are amazing because they are one of the few things that will go around eating the ticks that are present on your large game animals. So here they are entering into the baobab circle there. We've got our first zebra also present. And we are going to, over time, have the grasslands here expand and cover the majority of the map. Now, to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm also going to add a few trees. Let's start with a few baobabs over here. And then I'll put in a few other trees and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, and we are back in our camp. Now, as you can see here, unfortunately, some of the baobabs have decided that they are not really for this world, or they basically decided they're going to die, so they are dying out. They have spread a little bit as well, and I now have most of the map covered. Most of the grasses here have come up from nodes that have started in the area, and they just kind of spread out. I've also planted a whole bunch of trees. We'll see whether they actually manage to survive. There are some more baobab here. We've got some knob thorns, and we've got winter thorns, all kinds of species. You can see some of the bush willows here have died, some of them are still alive. And we'll see whether this system is able to maintain itself as a moderately closed woodland, or whether we are basically stuck with a grassland that we've got basically over here as well. So here we've got our Bermuda grass over here. We currently have 2,330 of it in our park. We also have our Themida trihandra, our red oat grass or red grass, 3,533. And then we also have our love grass, which is the Eragrasta species, 2,131. Now, of course, you being relatively old game, you can't expect the hyena over there to go and catch the zebra in real time. But overall, as the predators increase in numbers, so the prey will be balanced. Now, we have an ecologist over here that will be able to tell us what she thinks of the park. So she says that elephants are not well represented in the park, and we should get some of those. We also need more leopards, and we need lions in our park. So she's really going for the big five. And if we go in, we can have a look. Not a lot of orange dots, some orange dots, which in this case are the little savanna hares over here. But I think we should at least have an attempt made to bring in some of the big five. Now, she says she wants leopards, lions, and elephants, but you can't just put in those animals. You need prey for them to actually feed on. So we are going to stock our park with a few Thompson's gazelles. Let's put a little herd over there. And we'll put in a few more in this area over here. So there are some Tommies over there. And a few here in the environment right over there. Okay, so we've got a few herds of Thompson's gazelles, which will now hopefully increase in number over time, giving us a good prey base. Let's see what else we can put in as good prey animals. We can put in impala. Very good species to put in their park. They are what we call a buffer species, meaning that they are so abundant in numbers that you won't find, or when predators go and eat something, there's a good chance they're going to eat the more common species, in this case then impala, protecting the rarer species. So that's the whole idea of having a buffer species, and that's why in Kruger National Park in South Africa, for example, whenever you're driving around there, you're almost guaranteed to see impalas, because they literally are everywhere. So we'll just put in a few more over here, have a nice buffer species. In this case, we're probably going to put the leopards in this environment. Leopards doing very well in denser woodlands. They can be in more open areas as well, but they really like having shelter to ambush their prey. So trees to hide in and dense shrubbery to also hide in. So you can see here we already have a few Thompson's gazelles spreading all over the place. We've got a lot of savanna hares, which can be a bit of a problem. So the fact that we've got a lot of savanna hares, yeah, let's see what their main predator would be. If we can just go and look at one there. So we've got the savanna hare. And apparently all carnivores are its predators, but vultures, eagles, and snakes really love going for them. So eagles, vultures, and snakes. Now we have got, over here, we have got the white-backed vulture, which is then one of the things that would go apparently for these ones, although white-backed vultures are typical scavengers rather than hunters. They would go for feeding on carcasses, whereas things like your lappet-faced vulture, which is much larger, may actually go and catch a prey, small animals like the savanna hares. Now we can't put in lappet-faced vultures, but we can put in some black mambas, and the black mamba then being Dendroaspis polylepis, the scientific name. So let's put in a few black mambas. They will control the the small, in this case, lagomorph population, the savanna hares. Hares being a lagomorph. Now, hares and rabbits are very close to one another. They're very similar. There are a few differences, however. Generally, rabbits will have young which are what we call altricial, meaning that when they are born blind and defenseless. They can't really look after themselves, generally born in burrows in the ground, whereas hares give birth to young which are precocial. Precocial meaning that they are born generally not blind, or very shortly after birth their eyes will open and they can run around and look after themselves, find their own food and things like that shortly after birth. A lot of small game birds like lapwings and things like that, little crowned lapwing flying over there, they give birth to precocial young. Young which shortly after birth can run around on their little legs and go and find their own food. Okay, so we're getting a few animals stocked in our park. Our impala population seems to be doing well. Let's get our camp sorted out a little bit more as well. And let's see what they have to say about what facilities we can create. A blind would be a good idea, and add more tents to get more visitors. Okay, the tents being basically the basic level of what the people would be happy with to stay in. So we're going to just put in another row of tents over here. So now that we've got that sorted, of course they also need restroom facilities, so we'll just put a little pathway in here with a few restrooms on either side. Little outhouses. And there we go, one more. Perfect. Now we want to also be moving up in the world in terms of our accommodation available for people, so we'll put in a few cottages. We're going to just take out some of these trees and we're going to use the timber in theory then to build a blind, which is also going to be very nice so that people can go and chill and sit and watch all the animals in the park. I think I just built that house right on a person. That little cottage was smack bam on a person, shame. And we are going to put the blind in right over here. And let's say there's a water hole on the other side. They can have a nice little look at the animals coming to the water hole to drink. And we'll put in another one over here as well. There we go. So now they can go and have a look at the animals. Now, since we now have better accommodation there with the cottage, we also want to give them something to enjoy them, or a place to enjoy themselves. Let's put in a swimming pool, which when you are in Africa is a very necessary thing to have in a camp. And we'll put a nice little path for people to walk along and get into the swimming pool over there. Okay, now this is basically what we've got to do with the camp. Over time we are going to upgrade a little bit more. We're going to put lodges in here, but for now let's have a look and see how our park is doing. Now we have a lot of animals in our grassland environment here. Lots of the oryx, lots of savanna hares still, lots of Thompson's gazelles. They seem to be the buffer species in the grassland environment. And we also should have quite a lot of impala. Here they are. There are a few impalas here. Not doing as well as I had hoped. Maybe not enough trees in this general area, though impalas are mixed feeders. They will be feeding on grass and on trees, on browse, so they shouldn't be too picky. They should be doing quite well over here. However, let's see what we can put into the tree area here. We'll put in a few kudu as well. Definitely one of my favorite animals, and we're putting in a high density of them, but they're going to spread themselves out over time. And then we'll put in a few duikers. Generally relatively territorial, the duikers. They've got a little gland in the front of their eyes that they will use to mark their territory with, and as they walk along pathways, they will be rubbing on twigs that stick out in their path, and that leaves a little tar-like substance on there, very strong smelling for them at least, and they're able to then mark their territory so that other duikers coming into the area will then scent or smell that, okay, this territory belongs to that one over there. I shouldn't go into this area, or, well, I will go and try to take over the territory. Basically, the whole idea of territoriality we will be talking about in another episode. I think on the plains here, we do want some more of the plains zebra as well, aptly named. So we'll put in a whole big herd of them. We're going to have the Serengeti on display here, basically. And we also are going to put in the wildebeest. Which, there we go, wildebeest. Or gnu, because they got that gnu sound that they make. And very often found together with zebras in mixed herds here, with the zebras and the wildebeest. And then, of course, we've got topi, which we can't put in, if I'm not mistaken. We don't have topi in the game here. But you also then have Thompson's gazelles. And what you'll find in the Serengeti, for example, would be that the zebras eat the tallest parts of grass, the driest, the most useless bits of dry grass. And when they do that, it opens up a whole new layer of grasses, which the wildebeest will then come and eat. And when they have finished eating, you have the topi, which is an antelope, which I don't have an equivalent of here, but they've got very narrow mouths, and they will go and feed on the smallest bits of the grasses, most nutritious bits of the grasses. And then after they've gone through, the Thompson's gazelles over here, the Tommies, will come in and eat the very nutritious little forbs, little small plants growing in between it. And you've got a whole coexistence of species of herbivores all feeding on the grasslands. But as one moves out of the area or has finished eating the tall grasses, as the zebras finish eating that, wildebeest come through, then the topis, and then the Thompson's gazelle, leading to a whole sequence of species, and they all coexist. Really not in hectic competition with one another. Now, of course, now that we've got our prey base, we also start getting predators popping up here. We've got an African wild dog or painted dog also walking around here. But the ecologist said she does want lions. So let's put in a pride of 6 lions. Now, in this case, they're all male because all the male lions have got the manes, whereas females generally are maneless. The lionesses generally don't have the manes, whereas males most often would have. There have been cases of male lions not having manes and of female lions or lionesses having manes. So, yeah. And then, of course, our ecologist friend also wanted some leopards. And leopards are extremely territorial, so we'll only put in a few here and there in the denser environments or denser woodlands. And we'll put one there. So in this case, the leopards have got relatively small territories. Normally, they would be much more spaced out. And let's see whether they survive on the open grasslands, because why not? Okay, and we'll put in one over here as well. So now we have got a whole bunch of species in our park. I think we can also put in a few elephants. Nice herd over there. And we'll put a herd in the grassland environment here as well. They can survive on grasses. They can survive on trees. And we'll put in a herd here as well. Let's have a look and see how things are going in the village. Wow, they have grown. So since we have hired a few people from the village here, they've managed to put up a well over here to water their crops. They've put up a rudimentary fence over here to keep out the elephants. Before they actually put up this fence, you very often have the crops damaged by elephants that apparently break out from our park and then destroy the maize fields over there. They also have a few extra houses, and they also have carts that they have managed to get. So that's quite awesome. Our camp here still looking quite nice. I think we need to hire a few more attendants, however, because of the fact that we've expanded. We need that, and I think we also need to put in a few more vehicles. So let's get, I think, 3 more vehicles should do the trick. Now, because we don't have drivers yet, they are just kind of stuck there. They can't go anywhere. We only have 2 drivers, and we've got 5 vehicles now. And I think it is also time to put in a luxury dining hall over there, so that people staying in the cottages here, or people that really want to spoil themselves and are staying in the tents here, they can come to our luxury dining hall as well. And we'll just put up a little pathway there so they can walk quite easily. And they can supervise their children that are splashing around in the pool over there. For those of the people that don't want to spend a lot of money on food, we'll just put in a few little picnic tables as well. Put one there, and we'll put one there. And put up nice little pathways so that they can enjoy this. And of course, what every picnic site needs would be trees. Unfortunately, the marula trees that I've chosen here, there we go, now they're shady. They weren't very shady at all. Okay, nice little shady picnic spot for our visitors to come and enjoy. Now, of course, we do need to hire a few more people here from the village elder. We need at least... Let's put 2 more cooks so that they can relieve one another there as well. We need 4 more drivers, and as a result, I think 4 more scouts as well. Let's hire 2 more naturalists, and we'll hire 5 more attendants. Okay, and now all the vehicles should be moving. We've got 3 vehicles moving over there, and in our park we have another 2 vehicles. Okay, so we've got 5 vehicles, 6 drivers. At least one of the drivers will then have a nice day off when he gets the chance. Now, currently, our population of prey animals is a little bit too high. We have got way too many Thompson's gazelles, Savannah hares, oryxes, zebras, and wildebeest all over the place, which means we need to do something about that. And I think it's time for us to introduce another pride of male lions. On that side over there, and on this side, I think we should bring in my favorite predator, well, African predator, the painted dog, the African wild dog. And between them, they should then be able to, they put another little pack over there, they should now be able to control the numbers of these herbivores, basically. And we should now have balance in the food web. But for now, I'm going to end the episode here. We are going to carry on next time, where we're going to see whether the grassland then manages to take over everything, or whether the trees here are able to survive, and what we can do potentially bring in a little bit of balance to bring either in more trees or to see how this ecosystem develops. We are trying to also get a 5-star rating over there, which shouldn't be too difficult, but we also are next time going to talk about populations, how they fluctuate, and how humans have an impact on that. So until then, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.